My name's Bill, and I'm an alcoholic. And this share is called Do I Care? The world of work is either organised or disorganised. If you studied at school, went to college or university, got an apprenticeship, or went into a work position that required qualifications, then you were one of the organised lot, which I wasn't. Alcoholism took away my schooling. I just sat and looked out the window every day for 3 years waiting for 4 p.m, for the school day to finish, and then, in my head, my drinking effectively began. I knew I could go home, get changed, and go out drinking. Consequently, my list of academic qualifications ended up numbering just one: woodwork. And so the world of work was wherever I could find it. I was, however, very studious. I was hardworking, honest, polite, and enthusiastic. I had to be. I had nothing else to offer. And I carved out a niche for myself, not for myself, but into a line of work that I could work in, into a career that ultimately needed me, because I needed it just as much. But I set myself some pretty ambitious targets and ambitious sights. And whilst I made plenty of mistakes, I did do a lot of good things. And even though I've just retired, I can look back now and I can honestly think that this last 50 years, that was my working life, was one hell of a ride. I say 50 years because it is almost exactly that long between leaving school and retirement. And I worked right the way through, and I worked like I drank to the limit. Now I'm retired. I like to write these shares, see my children and grandchildren go to meetings, and I do write lots of shares. It's been like writing a life story and an autobiography, but in little bite-sized chunks. And it's interesting what's come up, and I think I've now probably written over 1,000. And as they keep on appearing in my head, I keep putting them down on paper. I find it cathartic, almost energizing, where writing gives me time to think, and I enjoy it. Nothing prepared me for retirement. I first retired 5 years ago, but failed miserably. I lasted 3 days, until Wednesday of the first week to be exact. But that's what being self-employed does to you. I've been writing shares for Loners International and for the Share magazine now for 23, maybe 24 years. And one of the benefits of sober living, of following a program and adhering to a spiritual set of principles, is that I've stopped caring what others think and try to focus on what I think. I care where I need to, but not overtly. I would say I still worry more than I need to, but in general, I'm a lot more balanced now. I should, I'm sure, care more about some things in some areas and less in others. Caring what others say has to be, and has been, probably the biggest thing in my life. Caring what others do was equally as big. Caring what others thought about me was probably the most problematic, and caring what others didn't think about me was, in all honesty, even worse. It was better for me to know the truth, and as painful as that truth may have been, it was less painful than not being told. Second guessing is agony to the alcoholic. We call it taking people's inventory and being paranoid. Others call it gossip. Today, I try and take inventory when it's based on fact only, and today I like to base my thinking on reality and not on innuendo or gossip. Most of my 12-step program today is geared towards taking action based on what is best for my sobriety. Everything I do today should be based on what my higher power would want, and that's my step 3. I made a decision, and that's my commitment, to hand my will and my life over and to follow my higher power's will in my life. Yes, I do deeply care about a whole host of things, which is lovely, and many of the things I used to care about I don't anymore, and vice versa. One of the things I care passionately about is my children and my grandchildren, where my lifetime's work has been for them. It may not have always seemed so at the time, but everything I've done for them. So that if you don't see a caring attitude from an alcoholic, it doesn't mean to say we don't care. It just means to say that we may not show that we care. Us alcoholics are selfish and self-seeking, but that isn't always detrimental. It's not always a bad thing. So try not to judge an alcoholic on what you see and hear. It's often best to focus on what you don't see and hear. And that leads me nicely onto a saying that even though you may not see a lot happening, seeing is not always believing, and less is sometimes more. Bill the Shirt, Bristol.